How's it going, everyone? Girified here, and in today's video, we're going over 10 quick tips for beginners in Conqueror's Blade. Let's jump in. So the first tip that I highly recommend to new players is alt-clicking. If you've got a unit in game, you can actually alt-click for it to go onto the supply point, to go onto siege engines, to push them forward. The one on supply point, you can actually heal and resupply bow and arrows and ammo for your ranged units. So make sure you actually alt-click. That means you can stay in the battle on the front line while your unit runs away, goes to the supply point, and then comes back fully healed and fully with health. That does mean that if you lose one of the units, it won't heal itself. It won't resupply the entire amount. So then make sure that if your unit is getting low on health, that you can take it back to the supply point and it can heal there and then bring it back out with it's fully healed. The next one that's overlooked a lot is you can actually have multiples of the same unit type. Now, this isn't as beneficial in open world battles or in a lot of combat because you can normally only bring in a lot of things once, but you can have, let's say, two of the same unit type that have a fork in their veterancy tree, meaning you can max out one on the top tree and one on the bottom tree. So circumstantial, based on what you need the unit type for, you can build the unit around different circumstances. Secondary to that, you can actually have up to 5 serfs at level 7, which will actually allow you to max out your labor for resource gathering. This is one that was in this how to CB guide, and I'm now looking at ways to actually max out other units in different veterancy trees that may or may not be aligned with the meta. The next one that I highly recommend for new players jumping into Conqueror's Blade is make sure you have your warbands set up. There's nothing worse than jumping into a game and resetting up your entire unit layout every single time. At this stage, you've got 4 categories of warbands. They are 4 battles, open world, global match, and free battles. 4 battles, which will allow you to take up to your 700 leadership limit unless you've got more. You can set up 3 different builds inside of that. There is open world warbands, which I use for my resource gathering and territory wars. There's global match, which is kind of more for your ranked worldwide battles. And you can set up your builds for ranked in that section as well. And then lastly, there is free battles. So you can actually build up your free battle warbands based off of your high level units. One thing I wish I knew earlier on was the crafting components in Conqueror's Blade. You're actually able to craft your own weapon, armor, your mount armor, units, and artillery. The thing about crafting your own weapon and armor is that it allows RNG to get involved with the stats that actually get attributed to those crafts. So you may actually end up with something better every time you try and craft or recondition. There is repairing and there's reconditioning. There are 2 separate things. In your player menu, you can actually go to and repair your armor and repair all, and that costs bronze. And then you can repair your horse armor as well. But you, on each of your individual item pieces for your armor set and your mount armor, you actually have the ability to recondition it. It actually has an endurance amount on each individual piece of armor, and it tells you what the condition type is. And it ranges up, from low to very high, excellent, etc. So if you're losing conditioning on your armor, you have to actually go and recondition that armor. Now, during that recondition, you can actually opt to save the current stats on there or risk and re-roll on the reconditioned piece. People tend to hold the stats for items that are good and re-roll on ones that they want to try and improve on. So every time you're looking at reconditioning, make sure you understand the difference between repair and reconditioning. Hey, could I ask for a favor? Make sure to smash the like button for the algorithm. It really helps me know if this video is actually doing well, if you enjoy the content, and if you enjoy what we've done so far, what we're talking about for the channel, hit the subscribe and the bell for notifications. Another one is understanding unit kits. Now, units themselves can be healed, but then they also have unit kits that are required to replenish that use and that unit. So every time you lose units, they can get wounded, but then there's also a unit kit to replace those wounded units. So you can heal your unit, but then you also have to replenish that unit. And with replenishment, you actually draw down on some of the unit kits in your pool. Unit kits themselves, you'll have a quota of 100, and you have to resupply that unit kit over time. So the more you lose that unit, the more that you have to heal that unit, the more that you have to replenish that unit, the more unit kits for those individual units you'll have to buy, purchase, or craft. Similarly for your mounts actually have a food requirement. Out of 100, you have to feed your horses. Most people will have 4 horses that are assigned to their character, and those horses will over time be used, and you'll draw down on their food amount and food supply. So you actually have to feed them to get them back up to 100, which is something that only really comes up, and I remember, from an exclamation mark, but it's just really odd, I think, as a mechanic in the game. So just remember, you have to feed your horse. Another one that I tend to look at a lot is understanding skill pages. Now, I've talked about this previously in a weapons guide overview and a skill pages overview, and going through some of the skills. As a new player, I wasted so many of my leveling up rewards on skill pages I wasn't actually going to use. So I ended up with a lot of bound skill pages that I have still yet to redeem. This is something that I have kept in my bank. If I knew the requirements of the skills before redeeming for different skill pages for alternate weapons that I'm not using, that would have saved me so much hassle. It would have saved me a little bit more of a grind. So make sure when you're getting your rewards for your skill pages that they're for the weapons that you want to use. I screwed up on that one. One of the things that I wish I knew when I first started playing the game was how to unlock units, because there are so many different ways. You don't just have to grind on honor to unlock these units. There's ways in which you can get items from playing in certain matches that will allow you to get the signaculars that, if you collect 20 of them, will actually unlock the unit for you, bypassing part of the honor tree. Now, that's one thing that you kind of have to get lucky on in most instances, from loot boxes in the game or for reward boxes. Another one and section is the seasonal challenges. Now, each season, usually there are new units and new ways to unlock units. Most of them come down to challenges. This season, we had the Northmen, Wolves of Ragnarok, which actually had a reduced challenge difficulty. So you can unlock those units at a reduced difficulty during this season. That means it may also change for next season. So looking at season 7, you could do challenges difficulty reduced for Northmen, Wolves of Ragnarok, as well as Gilded Age, Commerce, and Mercenary. I've been doing a lot more of the Commerce and Mercenary challenges. I have yet to unlock a lot of the Wolves of Ragnarok. So I've gone back to the earlier seasons, and I'm hoping I can do the Wolves of Ragnarok probably next season. I really wish I knew about resource gathering properly when I first started the game. There is a little bit of a tutorial at the beginning to go to a node, resource gather, then come back, but it didn't really give me a full understanding of the game and why you have to do it. A lot of capturing those resources, bringing it back, come towards your fief quests, become towards crafting your artillery, come towards refining that material into something that you will use for something else to craft. That's the main reason to go out and get that supply. There are actually two banks. There's actually your weapons and your armor and your main item units. Then there's the whole wagon and supply bank, which will be more of the things that you will use for crafting your artillery, where your artillery is held, where there are certain food resources, as well as anything that you've brought back from a resource point. When I first started playing and I got to the point where I could join a house or the cohort, I really didn't know what to do. And I had to look up and find a house that would actually show me and teach me what to do. I couldn't join them straight away. I had to go to the location that they were at to actually get invited. So there are a lot of different things that I had to do to actually get invited to the house. A lot of players actually joined Cohort accidentally or didn't know that Cohort wouldn't allow them to join the house later and they'd be on a cooldown period. So make sure before you go into a house or cohort that you know that you've got players that are waiting for you in a house. If you want to start your own guild that is called a house in Conqueror's Blade, you go to the house option. Finally, knowing the differences between the types of battles that are around. When you press J or go to the matchmaking screen, you actually see so many different battles, and there's like territory wars, PvP, expeditions, PvE, ranked battles, sieges, field battles, training camp. There's deathmatch as well, and all of these sometimes are actually not even available during certain times. If you press O on your keyboard, you actually go to the activities screen and you can see weekly activities, and then certain playlists will open up during certain time slots. That allows you to understand when a certain game type is available, which means that you could then go and play during that time to unlock a certain unit challenge or challenge that you have available for deathmatch, for ranked matches, or plundered thieves, or any other type of unit challenge required. There are certain things that are attributed to those, and you get certain rewards for playing in different PvE and PvP modes. Expeditions is another great example of the PvE component that allows you to go into a group with 5 and go into a PvE scenario or campaign. That's just a quick wrap of some of the tips that I've kind of come together with. I actually put a Reddit post together that asked what were things that you wish you knew before you started playing Conqueror's Blade. And some of the answers that came back were: don't charge aimlessly into engagements, don't AFK units into vulnerable trebuchet positions, and making sure you understand map awareness by pressing Z and Tab while in game. So those are just some of the things that people have come back to us with some feedback. If you're liking the video series so far, I've created several other videos on Conqueror's Blade from a beginner's perspective and trying to get new people involved with the game. You can check out the video that I put together, Hidden Gem Conqueror's Blade review. You can also check out the weapons videos that I've put together around talking about an overview of what the weapons are in the game and how they roughly work, then looking at skills and skill pages and how they kind of work together. Then I'm slowly going through each of the individual weapons and trying to showcase some of the builds that I've found online to better myself understand the game, but also show new players what and why would they build a certain build. Moving into the future, we're looking at doing more around the territory wars, looking at how we can get maybe into a bit more ranked and deathmatch. I'm actually going to be a part of the house elite group that is coming together as well, so I might get some content around how we're training or how we're playing slightly differently to what the general casual team might, really aiming to try and get our team into the Conqueror's Blade League maybe next season. So there's some ambitions there that I really want to get better at this game. And I feel like teaching it also allows me to absorb and learn more about it at the same time. If you found this video useful at all, make sure to hit the like button. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. If there's any value that I've provided, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. I'm Girified, and remember, always keep gaming.